USALA Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa Compass. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Dylan de Rosato dirige este programa. Estamos con un invitado especial, señor Drew Murray. He's candidate for city council. So he did very well in the
city council at large, yes. I did well
city council at large.
Yes.
That means you're responsible for the whole city.
I'm responsible for everyone. And it means everyone can vote for me as well, Mr. Mendez.
So you got certainly will.
I know you couldn't in the primary.
I know.
For some odd reason, you're still.
For some odd reason,
you're still on that side of the aisle, even though.
I don't understand why. Because I don't want to be on any side of this.
Well, you got to be one way or the other.
Party.
I'd say that. Or else you can't vote in the primary in Philadelphia. People are independents. I tell them just pick one. Obviously, I'd like you to pick Republican, but you always pick one. So I'm glad you at least picked one. You picked the wrong one, but
I would accept.
You picked the wrong one, but.
So you're gonna begin this with the attacks already?
I'm just trying to get you over to the good side, Mr. Mendez.
You better be ready.
I know you don't like to pay taxes, so I say you are actually a Republican.
Oh no, because you love to pay taxes.
I don't
I'm sure.
like to pay taxes.
No, you and Donald Trump.
Oh, I pay my fair share.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I just think that I pay too much.
He doesn't. He doesn't believe in.
So I think it was less. So I won the bet. It was less than 2 minutes before you mentioned President Donald Trump.
I have not mentioned his name.
You did in 2 minutes.
You know what you're talking about.
The over/under was 3 minutes, so I went with the under. So, but yes.
How difficult is it for you to figure out? We're talking GOP and you, and I mean, from there to Donald Trump is not a big jump.
He's no longer our president, Mr. Mendez.
Thank God.
And he's not the nominee. He
But
could be.
Not yet.
We'll
but
see.
Apparently,
We'll see.
Was it 67% of Republicans prefer him?
I have not seen those polls.
Yeah.
But
how about that?
We'll see. I still don't understand polls because I'm a super voter and I've been a super voter for 20 years and I've never gotten contacted for a poll. Have you? I still don't know how they pick those names.
That's the experience of most people that I know.
Yeah.
With polls because of cell phones. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how they pick. And polls are obviously they don't do too well. They didn't do well in the mayor's race. I mean, it seemed like a three-way tie between three women or among three women, and it did not get it right. I mean,
no.
I don't think it was a surprise that Terrell Parker won, but not a surprise. It was a surprise. It wasn't a surprise to me that she won. It was a surprise to me that she won by as many votes as she did.
Right.
I thought it was going to be much closer.
What was surprising to me was that the number of votes, not nearly.
It was about where I expected. It was the turnout was 27%. Once the it'll probably get up to 28 once because the counts are not done. They are still counting provisionals and military ballots. So
that's low expectations at that.
It's pretty low.
Really.
I think it was lower than expected. I mean, when I was at the polls that day, it was very slow in the Northeast. I spent most of the day in the Northeast. It was slow. When I came back to vote around 1 o'clock in the 8th Ward, it was very high. I mean, their numbers were good in the 8th Ward, which is Center City. But the fact that Sherelle did as well as she did, and I haven't looked at the numbers, in the Northwest, turnout must have been good. Overall, it was a little low, but it wasn't that. I don't think they expected more than 30. 30%, I think, is around what they expect in
Is it because of midterms and primary?
It's just there's only a municipal election, so there wasn't any senatorial races. You know, I mean, no national level campaigns,
right.
So no senatorial. There were judges, so there were some statewide, and a very important, Supreme Court. There was an opening on the Supreme Court, so that's huge in many ways. But I think the everyday voter probably doesn't even know that the judicial candidates were on there. I mean, they were looking at the mayor's race. That was number one that people were looking at, in my opinion. But there was no senatorial race, no U.S. rep race.
So the last numbers I saw for Sheriff Parker, 32.6, and Reinhardt 22.8%.
Yeah, that's a big margin, and Helen was a little bit below Rebecca.
She was a little below, yeah.
Yeah, so
only by 1,500.
Yeah, and most of the people I talked to going into the race on the Democrat side, people I know and respect their opinion, they said it was a three-way race going in. They said it's going to be between the three women, and a lot of people that I spoke to said they thought Sherelle was going to be on top, but it was anybody's race, and didn't expect it to be, for her to win by 10 points.
I was surprised Alan Dam, whose showing was so low, 11%.
I think him and Jeffrey Brown split the vote. I mean, two successful white Jewish businessmen.
Right.
So, and I'll be honest with you, I think this city is ready was ready to elect. Now remember, this is not over yet. There's still a general, but on the Democrat side, ready to elect a woman.
But the two of them combined would not even come up to 20%.
Was it that low? That's interesting. I didn't delve into it.
Was 11 and 8 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I would have. That's interesting. And I think that goes back. I think the city was ready to elect a woman in that Democratic primary.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never been and this is and it's interesting, and it's the 100th mayor, and 99 of them have been men so far.
Yeah, and as we know, whoever wins the nomination of the Democratic Party, that's the next mayor.
Not always. It's just, look. It's a long shot for David O.
When? You have to go back to 1953 to find.
But Katz almost won. You remember Sam Katz almost won. That was 20 years ago. It was different. The registrations are. Look, David's a long shot. It's a 7-1 registration. But I would not count David out. Every time someone counts David out, he comes in. When in 2019, he had the 5th spot in the general, meaning the 5th ballot position, because that's how he came in the primary. That's where he landed in the primary, and everyone thought he was done. He was out. He's not going to win, and he won. So I never count David out. He has a lot of support from both sides of the aisle. So if you look at it, most Republicans are going to vote for David, and look, it's probably not going to be a huge turnout. He'll make it a race.
I like him personally. Also in the Hispanic community, he's very well respected. He's been around. He goes to events. He participates a lot in the.
He goes. He really goes everywhere, and he goes to communities where a lot of people don't, and traditionally a lot of people have ignored. So a lot of those marginalized communities where politicians in Philadelphia have not gone, he goes to them. So, look, he's a long shot. From David's standpoint, from a strategic standpoint, he probably wanted someone who was a little further left, so he can pull more moderates, and that is not Sherelle Parker. But he still has a chance. He's going to work hard. He's raised some money, so. Look, he's going to make it interesting, and I mean, this is probably the first real candidate that the Republicans have had since Sam Katz. I mean,
it's an expensive race, and so you're going to need a lot of money. And I guess he will get the support of the people who were supporting the other candidates. So not all of them, but I mean,
sure, he'll get some. He won't get the progressive. He won't get the progressives, but he'll pull some of the Alan Dahms and the Jeffrey Browns,
but that's unfortunate because in some of the ways he could be considered a more liberal Republican.
Yeah, he's considered a moderate, like on the left side of the Republican spectrum. So
and you'll be on the same ticket.
We will be on the same ticket, yes.
So that may help him actually.
Having me, I don't know. I don't know if he'd agree with that.
No.
We're going to have all of us. We're going to have a good slate of candidates.
Were you surprised, but ended up first?
I honestly was surprised. In a Republican primary, I'll be honest, what I expected was how we were on the ballot. I thought that's how we were going to finish. So I was third on the ballot.
You thought you'd be third.
I expected to come in third. I thought, maybe I'll jump 1. I did not expect to jump 2. And look, not all the votes are counted. So, I do think I will come in first at the end, which it's not it's not that important to have first ballot position in a general, but it does help a bit. And
18.9 was the last number I saw for you. So that could change another percentage.
It won't change much. I think there's about the only thing they've let to vote is the provisionals and military, so that's probably 5,000 votes. So, and most of those are going to be Democrats. So, you're talking, probably hundreds of votes to come in on the Republican side. So, I would expect to still come in first. So, but it felt good to jump up a couple spots. I worked very hard for it. When you run a Republican primary in the city of Philadelphia, you spend most of your time in the Northeast and in the 26th Ward in South Philadelphia. But I still went everywhere. And if you saw my lawn signs, they were everywhere. They weren't just in the Northeast; they were all over the city.
How much of that do you have to change for the general election?
You still want to go to your base, but no, now it's a citywide election. You need to pull in voters from both sides of the aisle.
But can you use some of those loan things you have with your name every place?
Yeah, they got to be everywhere.
You can still use those, the ones you have before, right?
And you can even reuse them. I picked up a lot of my lawn signs. They're expensive. Sure. They're about $5 a piece. So when you see thousands of lawn signs all over the place, they're about $5 a piece. I mean, Christy Brady in the primary, she ran for controller. I can't imagine what she spent on lawn signs because she had them everywhere. She had the most lawn signs, I think. She won the lawn sign. If there's a lawn sign competition, Christy Brady beat all of us.
Well, you have a lot of signs.
I had a lot of signs
all over the place. So, and now you can double the number because for the general.
Yeah, now I'm going to need a lot more. I lost some. I probably had about 1,500 out there for the primary. I'll probably get about 500 back. So I still lost about 1,000.
So they're expensive. Huh?
They're expensive. Yep, they're about $5 to $6 each.
How about the buttons?
The buttons, I forget how much. The buttons are not that expensive.
Yeah.
Less than $1. Now you can wear one. I'm gonna give you the button off of my jacket, Mr. Mendez.
You already one of the shows I had with you. You put your one of your flyers next to the computer. So it was very visible.
I normally have them in my jacket. Next time I'm gonna have to remember. Next time, yes. Yeah. They're called palm cards.
Palm cards.
Palm cards. Yeah. Yes. So now you're learning. You could almost run a campaign. The interviews that you've done with me.
Not interested.
Yeah.
Running campaigns. I'd like to take shots from outside.
But you can vote for me.
See if you're doing a good job. So I will ask you, Councilman Murray, what's happening here? What about that pre-K?
Universal I'm in favor of universal pre-K. I'm just not in favor of using the soda tax.
Why not?
To pay for it. Because it's a progressive tax. It honestly, it doesn't, I don't want to say target, but the people it's meant to serve are the people who are paying for that tax the most. I mean, look, you
could say it's a health benefit for them, not
but at one point, maybe the government
drinks.
shouldn't be that involved in your if you want to, next thing they're going to say you can't have a cocktail. You can't have a cocktail because it's not good for you.
Two different things altogether.
It's not two different things, but at what point should the government not tell you exactly? Look, yes, we make heroin illegal, absolutely, but where do we draw the line? Is it soda? And look, they're not making it illegal, but they are trying to minimize it through a tax. And again, it's a regressive tax because a lot of people who have cars, you and I have cars. While we're in the suburbs, we could buy our soda there. We could avoid that tax. A lot of people who are kind of surrounded and don't live on City Line Avenue or can't just cross over City Line Avenue easily because they don't live near there or they don't have a car, they're forced to pay this tax. So a lot of these underserved communities are the ones paying the most for this tax. So
I still think we're trying to help them protect their health.
That was not the reasoning behind the tax. Look, if it's a benefit,
it could be now.
I understand. It could be now.
Yeah.
I don't think it has. I
think I would push for that.
I don't think soda has. I don't think it's decreased at all. I don't think soda consumption, and it's sweetened beverage, and that's the other thing. We all thought it was soda. It's not just soda. It's any sweetened beverage. Right. Even like a Gatorade, which Gatorade has a lot of sugar, and too much of it again is
especially for Hispanics, protecting them. The most common illness is diabetes.
Diabetes for Hispanic community.
Yeah, so We're trying to help them.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, I think they were trying to tax.
Anyway,
Mayor Kenny was trying to tax.
we're going to take a short break here en USALA Media. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Estamos en Campus en compañía de Drew Murray, who's running for City Council at large. No se vayan, regresamos en un momento. Amigos de USALA Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en Campus, en compañía de Drew Murray. Es un candidato para City Council, para la Asamblea Municipal. Así que él espera ganar en la elección general. Ganó y obtuvo el primer puesto entre los republicanos en las primarias. So, Drew, you think you have a good chance for the general election?
No, I think the primary showed that I was a strong candidate, and I think Philadelphians look. I'm not running against any other Democrats,
right.
And in many ways, no Republicans. We're looking to get 2 seats, and there'll be a guy, Jim Hasher, who I ran with in the special election. He'll be a strong candidate running for the general, but we're not running against other Democrats. We're running against the Working Families Party. So we're running against Kendra Brooks and Nicholas O'Rourke. And I think Philadelphians, and this election showed it, they want more moderate people on council. They don't want city council going further left. And if you look at who was voted in at the top, Sherelle Parker, not a progressive candidate. That was, those candidates were Rebecca Reinhart and Helen Gim. And honestly, I don't think Rebecca is that
far left. She was middle of the road.
Yeah, she's considered a progressive. I mean, she's left of Sherelle Parker, but I don't consider her, far left progressive. Helen Gim obviously is very much a progressive, but Sherelle won. And even if you look at the 5 candidates on city council who won on the Democrat side, who won the 5, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, Isaiah Thomas, Nina Ahmad, Jimmy Harity, and Rue Landau. If you look at those, they were all number one endorsed by Democrat City Committee, which was a big win for them. They went almost undefeated as far as their endorsements. But those 5 they're not that far left. I'd say even most of them, none of them are considered ultra far left progressive. So I think the city of Philadelphia said, we want more moderates on city council. We want a balance. So as we go into this general and we're looking at the Working Families Party, let's face it, that's what this general is going to be from a city council standpoint, because the Democrats are in. It's going to be Working Families Party versus the Republican Party. So we're going to see what Philadelphians want, and I think Philadelphians want balance on city council. They want that voice from the conservative side to keep a level of balance and to have diverse opinions. We need, there's a reason those two seats are set aside for non-Democrats. The intent honestly was to have voices from the conservative side. It wasn't until 2019 where we lost one of those seats to a progressive Working Families Party member.
On a national level, it's sort of easy to identify like right-wing issues, extreme right-wing and extreme left-wing. In city government, because the issues are more immediate, what do you consider a sort of a left-wing agenda?
Left? It's very easy to see, I think, at least from their policies, what they want. Safe injection sites. Working Families Party is absolutely in favor for. And
that was Ed Rendell, and he's not a lefty.
I don't know where Ed Rendell's head is right now, but you're right. But no, and I was about to say a lot of people who aren't considered very, very progressive are in favor of safe injection sites. I think the vast majority of Philadelphians are opposed to them, and at a state level they're looking to make them illegal across the state, and those are a lot of Democrat state representatives and state senators who are looking to do that. So
Why the opposition?
why is there an opposition? You know, for my personal view, I think normalizing drug use is not going to help addicts. In fact, it's going to hurt them. And then when you look at the communities they will go in, you cannot convince me that it's not going to hurt communities. That these locations where they call them harm reduction sites now, not safe injection sites. I call them safe injection sites. That it's not going to bring drug dealers to their communities. It's not. It will negatively impact communities where they're placed. So I think that's the opposition. So that, you know, there's two reasons. It normalizes drug use and it hurts the communities where they're placed. And, you know, most people I've talked to, even some of the people who are in favor of them, are like, well, I don't want them. I'm in favor of them, but I don't want them in my neighborhood. Yeah, exactly. So. In fact, I always tell the story. A woman came up to me in Center City, very, very liberal, very progressive, and a friend. She said, "Drew, how are you opposed to these? They help people." And I said, "Well, you got to understand. I don't want them in my community. And I told her, I said, one would, if they ever came, and I think we're past that point. It would be Kensington, South Philadelphia, and Logan Square would be the third place, because in Center City, that is where the drug use is." And she said to me, and this is a true story, "Drew, they can't bring them here. We have children here and we have schools. How can they bring them to Logan Square?" And I looked at her and was just like,
"We have children everywhere."
And I responded, I said, "Kensington doesn't have," I said, "You obviously have never been to Kensington." "I have." I said, there are children literally walking to school, stepping over needles in order to get to school. So, you know, that's the attitude that, you know, they want them, but they don't want them in their neighborhood. So, and another issue, and you'll like this issue, that is being pushed by the Working Families Party is a wealth tax. So that's a very progressive and far left issue. And as I always say, the wealth tax is not just for the wealthy. It's going to tax your stocks. So you could have a stock, Mr. Mendez, that's worth $50 when you bought it, and now it's only worth $20. So you are in essence losing money when you realize that stock and sell it. You would still be taxed on that $20.
But the Republicans are never in favor of taxing their money.
Would you be in favor of a wealth tax that goes after your stocks?
I'll be in favor of a well-designed, fair tax. Yes.
Okay. I think, I don't know, Mr. Mendez. I think if that came to fruition, you would be fine with it?
I don't know if I make $20 and they will tax me $1, or I make $200 and it will tax me $10.
But it's not what you make.
Or $2,000, whatever.
So let's say you have $10,000 in stocks currently. That's right. What you have. It's like they're treating it as an asset, because it is an asset. But you purchase those stocks for $20,000. You've lost $10,000. You should honestly.
Well, you don't know. How do you know that I lost money on those?
I'm saying you could.
You could. But what if you didn't?
You should be taxed.
The Republicans, they want to be taxed no matter what.
You should be taxed when you sell that stock and you realize the profit or loss. And if it's a loss, then you don't get taxed. But if you have $10,000 in stocks now, but you paid $20,000, you shouldn't be taxed on that $10,000. And by the way, when you purchase those stocks, you purchased those stocks with money that was already taxed, because you've already been taxed with the wage tax. So, no, a wealth tax is a horrible idea. And if it ever happened, people would leave the city.
Drew,
I think you would leave the city.
What about the idea? No, I wouldn't. What about the idea that was propagated a while ago, that if all the wealthy people, the billionaires, paid taxes as they're supposed to, we wouldn't even need charity?
You've said that before, and every time we talk about that, we say we got to look it up. You're going to have to email me.
Well, look it up.
No, I said, well, email it to me.
It was a Harvard study.
I'm busy. I'm in a campaign.
No,
you need to email.
You're not busy right now. You have a lot of free time right now.
Look, I think you should pay your fair share. I pay my taxes, whatever I'm owed. I might not like some of the taxes that I have to pay, but I pay them. And I think everyone should pay their fair share. And it does. There are slippery slopes, like capital gain, and then we're going on a national level, like capital gains tax should be higher, because that's one of the loopholes that many people use as far as income. But if you do raise capital gains tax, then there's less investment and the economy suffers. So there is a tough balance. But if we go back to again, and now there's one more thing that the Working Families Party wants, and I don't know, you're a landlord a little bit? Dabble. Rent control. How do you feel about rent control, Mr. Mendez?
Not like it.
See? Rent control is a horrible idea. Everywhere it's used, it has had the opposite effect because it controls the rent for some while it increases the rent for others. And what I tell people who think, oh no, rent control is a great thing, they don't think of you, like the person who has a couple smaller properties or maybe many small properties and you live off of that income. They think of the Parkway corporations of the world or the PMCs, these huge multi-million-dollar corporations. Like, well, they should have rent control, but that's not the majority, the vast majority of the units and the parcels in the city of Philadelphia. You're targeting, you're controlling rent for someone who needs that income. And by the way, it doesn't work because it will decrease development. So that decreases the number of units. So it decreases the overall stock of units in the city of Philadelphia, which will in fact increase overall rent. So again, you control the rent for some and it increases it for others. We saw it in New York. Whenever rent control is tried, all it does is make things too expensive for the majority of people. So
Okay,
those are three: safe injection sites, wealth tax.
We'll tackle this economic issue at some other point
control.
because you're going to be here a few times.
Well, you got to come on my show, Mr. Mendez.
Well,
the Republican Zone.
Be glad to.
And then I'll sit there and you can
Yeah, that's fine. I will not answer any of your questions.
You won't?
No, I will evade the way you do.
I don't evade.
Because, how are we going to solve the drug problems? Kensington. Nobody wants to do a damn thing about it.
I absolutely want to bring in state and federal resources in order to combat Kensington. We should hit it hard. I don't want to arrest the people on the street who are addicted to drugs. I want to get them help. I want to arrest those drug dealers. Go in and arrest them. And when they're arrested, we need our district attorney to actually prosecute them. And that's all levels of crime. It's not just drugs. That's what we need to do. We need to get the people help. And I know that's easier said than done, and I understand that. But I think we can go and arrest them. Right now it's an open drug market. If you walk down, it's scary. It is scary. I went to St. Joe's Prep in the 1980s. We were told don't walk down to the subway by yourself. I didn't even. If you walk through Kensington now and compare it to St. Joe's Prep in the 1980s, it's night and day. I mean, It is scary to walk down the streets of Kensington. In fact, I won't do it alone. Like if I go there, I went there for some event and we were with like 8 people and I had to go back to my car early and I was scared walking back to my car. And it was like a half-mile walk. I was scared. Drug dealers are there, they're armed, and they don't like when people who I wasn't in a suit, but I had jeans and a shirt on, and a collared shirt on. They don't like when someone who was dressed nicer is in that community because they know if someone's in that community who's dressed like that, they're there to try to help people and they're there to try to stop this open drug market. Yeah.
Well, Britt James is there.
Yeah.
And he's not dressed in a suit, but he's part of the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at Britt, yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I don't wear a suit to Kensington. I wear jeans and I'll wear a collared shirt probably.
So. I've mentioned this with other guests that what we need with Kensington, because of the complexity of that problem, is like a mini Marshall Plan kind of thing. From structure, from the housing, from cleaning up the streets, from the schools being, improved, to security, every aspect of the daily life in that area has to be dealt with.
We need to flood it with resources.
And I guess in that sense, you're right. We need everybody to come in, state and federal.
Yeah, absolutely. When I say bring in the state, I mean the National Guard, and people are not going to like that answer, and it can't just be for one night, for an extended period of time. We need to bring in the National Guard.
Unfortunately, that sounds too much like Trump.
No, but look, we have to do it. Look,
that was the solution to this, to the border at El Paso. Send the army over there.
Mr. Mendez. Now let's be honest. Isn't the current president also doing that right now?
Yes.
So you can't just blame President Trump, and he's no longer president, by the way, Mr. Mendez. No, like I don't love the idea of sending the military to solve this problem, but I think we have to do everything to solve the problem. We got to get the drug dealers out of there, and then we got to flood that area. We have to clean it. When you clean communities are safer. It's proven, and it's horrible when you look at the state of Kensington. You know, we got to get the drug dealers out of there. We got to clean it, and then we got to flood it with resources to make it better. It's a great community, and the people who live there are suffering there. It breaks my heart to watch them have to live like that.
Yeah, I know Trump is no longer president, but to the shame of the Republican Party, he will be the candidate of the Republicans for the next election.
We'll see. I think the next president of the United States, I tell people it's going to be. I think it will, just like Philadelphia. I said I think the next president's going to be a woman. I believe that. So it can be a Democrat woman or a Republican woman. So
for a Democrat woman to be the president, Biden will have to resign and leave the.
No, you're right. Yeah, because I don't think they're going to run anybody against President Biden, which.
So.
It's amazing to me, but.
True as usual, you made a very interesting program. So you have to come back. We have a lot of issues that we even touched.
Yes.
So. Yes, you're invited already. Or I go to your show.
You're going to come on my show, the Republicans.
Whenever. You tell me when.
Okay.
Amigos oyentes de USALA Media, hemos llegado al final de este programa. Estuvimos con Drew Murray, candidato al City Council de Filadelfia. Despide Fernando Mendez. Dylan de Rosato dirigió este programa. Hasta la próxima.